In this video, we are going to be showing you some rare photos of Hedy Lamarr while also sharing with you some of her untold life stories. Hedy Lamarr is one of the few real definitions of brain and beauty. She is not just a screen goddess, but also an inventor who benefited the entire human race tremendously. But the more she made the world a better place, the more her own life deteriorated to the point that she spent the last 3 decades of her life alone. Why? Let's find out while showing you some of her rare photos. On November 9, 1914, in Vienna, Austria, Hedwig Eva Maria Kiesler was born to Gertrude Lichtwitz and Emil Kiesler as their only child. Although both her parents were of Jewish descent, Hedy's mother converted to Catholicism and raised her as such. Her dad was a banker and her mother was a pianist. As a kid, Hedy expressed interest in acting and was quite fascinated by theater and film. When Hedy was 12, she won a beauty contest in Vienna. She was already quite fetching, but she had brains to boot as well. On long walks with her dad, he explained to her the basics of invention and how things worked. This ignited a spark in her mind that she would come to explore much later in life. In the meantime, the spark in Hedy's heart to become an actress raged on. While taking acting classes in Vienna, she wished she was doing much more. As such, she forged her mother's signature and got herself hired as a script girl at a local film production company. Though she first started working behind the camera, she slowly crept in front of it. Hedy managed to land a job as an extra on the movie Money on the Street. After that, she got a small speaking part in the movie Storm in a Water Glass. Famed Austrian producer Max Reinhardt took notice of her and cast her in a stage production of The Weaker Sex. He was so impressed with Hedy's performance that he took her with him to Berlin. Another twist of fate awaited Hedy in Germany. Instead of working with Reinhardt, she started work with Russian theater producer Alexis Granowski. As things turned out, Granowski was planning his film debut, The Trunks of Mr. O.F., alongside Peter Lorre. Hedy signed on to the production, giving her career yet another boost. Granowski moved to Paris, but Hedy stayed in Berlin to reap the fruits of her fame. After starring in the comedy No Money Needed, she was offered the leading role in an upcoming movie known as Ecstasy. As one could guess, the movie was to be as provocative as the title itself. This would prove to be both a blessing and a curse for Hedy, giving her instant worldwide infamy. Hedy was only 18 years old when she starred in Ecstasy. She was barely an adult, yet the producers and the director demanded much of her performance. The movie titillated as many people as it scandalized due to its erotic nature. It also featured nude shots of Hedy, which she claims were made without her knowledge. On both sides of the Atlantic, Ecstasy was the talk of the town. Some people said it was outrageous trash, others said it was a true work of art. Whatever one's opinion, though, one thing was perfectly clear. There was a new screen goddess in town, and her name was Hedy Lamarr. Hedy herself was so overwhelmed by the reception to Ecstasy that she took a step back from screen acting. There, she continued to lap up praise from all sorts of people. Some of them would send her flowers, which she would turn away. This included a man named Friedrich Mandl, who became obsessed with knowing Hedy. Friedrich Mandl was a very rich Austrian arms dealer. At the time of his romance with Hedy, he was reputedly the 3rd richest man in Austria. Hedy's parents, who were both of Jewish descent, were wary of him due to his ties to fascist leaders like Hitler and Mussolini. Hedy, however, did not care, as she was too busy falling head over heels for Friedrich's charms. While courting Hedy, Friedrich kept things as classy as possible. But the moment he got a ring around her finger, things changed dramatically. As a husband, Friedrich was a very controlling figure, so much so that Hedy was virtually a prisoner in their castle home. He would host lavish parties with foreign dictators and parade Hedy around like a trophy wife. He would also make Hedy accompany him to business meetings, where he would confer with military tacticians and weapons scientists. Friedrich had no respect for his wife's intelligence, and so didn't care one bit that she sat in on those meetings. But unbeknown to him, the fire that her father helped kindle in her mind still raged on. As such, Hedy's awareness of military tactics and war technology grew. The time would eventually come when she could apply them for the greater good. Hedy endured Friedrich as long as possible, but as time went on, the marriage became more and more unbearable. In her own words, he was the monarch of the marriage, and she was a doll that needed to be locked up. She had no mind and no life of her own and could not further her acting career. In 1937, Hedy made the brave move to free herself of Friedrich's strings. The stories as to how she did this differ, but they are both fascinating. One story says she disguised herself as a maid and ran away. Another says she wore all the jewels she owned at a dinner party, then disappeared afterward. In any case, she was free of Friedrich with London as her destination. In London, another twist of fate awaited Hedy. She met the infamous MGM studio head Louis B. Mayer, who was scouting for talent in Europe. Hedy's reputation preceded her, which made Mayer all the more hungry to sign her to a contract. It was his hope that she would be the second coming of Marlene Dietrich or Greta Garbo. Mayer initially offered Hedy a contract of $125 a week. Thinking this was low, she turned him down. He then shrugged and walked away, intending to go back to New York. But as fate would have it, Hedy was on the same New York liner as him. During the journey, she impressed him so much that he increased his offer to $500 a week. He also helped her come up with the Hedy Lamarr persona. It was Mayer's intention to kill her Ecstasy reputation completely. Once they arrived in New York, he started marketing her as the most beautiful woman in the world. It is rumored that during Hedy's first American screen appearance in the movie Algiers, the whole audience gasped when they saw her face. They were in complete disbelief about the level of her beauty. Algiers was a great debut for Hedy, introducing her to the American public in grand style. But from that point onward, things got a lot more difficult. Truth be told, Hedy never quite fit into the Hollywood studio system, mostly because she was typecast into the exotic seductress role. In any case, Mayer made sure he got his money's worth out of her. He teamed her up with Hollywood's golden boys one by one, including Clark Gable, Robert Taylor, Spencer Tracy, William Powell, and Jimmy Stewart. Mayer had brought her to Hollywood to be a star, and a star she became. But deep inside, Hedy was lonelier than ever. Although fame was handed to Hedy on a plate, she turned away from it. She missed her homeland so badly but just couldn't go back. People lusted after her but had no idea of her inner sophistication. She couldn't help but feel like a stranger in a strange land. When Hedy's contract with MGM ran out in 1945, her career began to decline. She founded a production company and moved back behind the camera, where she first started out. Of course, she still made a handful of movies. But other than that, she much preferred to be left alone. At the very least, Hedy got one good opportunity to show the world what she was intellectually made of. During World War II, she was having a discussion with her friend George Antheil about the cutting-edge weaponry being used. Antheil, who was a pianist, informed Hedy about a signal-controlled torpedo being developed by the Allied forces. Due to her knowledge of such technologies, Hedy could instantly identify that such a technology would be at the mercy of radio jammers. Hedy and Antheil quickly got to work after that, making a patent for a signal-hopping missile. With such a technology, jammers would have no chance against Allied torpedoes. The war was over before the technology ever got to be used. However, in its creation, the seeds of future Wi-Fi technology were planted. It's too bad that Hedy Lamarr is not as known for her mind as she is for her face, especially since the final years of her life were filled with such loneliness. Now, Hedy did not want for the family. After all, she married and divorced 6 times, producing 3 children. However, in the final 35 years of her life, she remained single. Not only that, but she shut the world out entirely. She became a recluse whose only connection with the outside world was a telephone. She talked on the phone for hours each day, but never let anyone in to see her. Finally, on January 19, 2000, she died of heart disease. She was 85 years old at the time. Although Hedy's reputation died down somewhat because of her seclusion, these days, more and more people are regaining an interest in her. Not just in her wonderful skills as an actress, but also in her intellectual contributions to the world. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance you'll also enjoy the one showing on your screen right now. Click, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. See you on the next one.